I recognize Mr. Larsen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Being the ranking member on the aviation subcommittee, I really have questions regarding the role of aerial surveillance in sort of the immediate response as well as an evaluation of disaster and what to do next. So for Mr. Long, can you walk through the process that FEMA and FAA use to consider any airspace waivers so you can better utilize unmanned aerial systems in the evaluation of damage as well as providing direction to your folks?
Great question. Understand the concern because the air traffic control system was totally wiped out, which made it even more, complex to sequence aircraft in, as well as the air traffic control above the islands. I would have to follow up with you specifically on that question on how we can work closer together or whatever decisions we can make.
Yeah, could you do that? Could you include? So you've provided a list in your testimony of a variety of directions you're going to take, sort of in your after-action report. So I would ask you to include that set of questions and that set of issues in your AAR because of the clear role that drones are playing in not just commercial space, but also in disaster relief and response. We did hear quite a bit about how drones assisted emergency response in Texas and Florida. So were they used specifically in USVI and Puerto Rico as well? I
do not know, but I would like to work with the Congress. Particularly we get a lot of complaints about the speed in which the inspection process takes place.
Yeah.
One of the innovative ways we can move forward on that is through aerial imagery and desktop assessments rather than having to find thousands and thousands of inspectors to go door to door. I am all for expediting processes through technology just like that.
Yeah, there was, I don't know how much detail you can get into with the use of drones, but you can get some detail. Insurance adjusters were in the office a few weeks back to talk about how they're now beginning to use unmanned aerial systems for claims purposes, and so there may be some routes to go. So for Admiral, can you expand a little bit on if Coast Guard used drones and drone technology for your assessments?
Yes, sir, Congressman. First off, the short answer is no. We did not use drone technology in any of the response operations. We're doing some partnership with Customs and Border Protection on drones for some of our maritime enforcement type duties. One caution I would say when we talk about response operations and drones in the airspace. So when we rolled in and were responding to Harvey, at one point we had more than 40 helicopters flying in the area with fixed wings flying C2. First 2 days, first 36 hours, the other agencies, National Guard, Department of Defense were falling in on our operations. When the Department of Defense started coming in heavily, you start to have a very convoluted, clouded airspace. We had Coast Guard helicopters with aircraft stacked on top of that. There is an airspace deconfliction safety thing. I think there's a role for drones, an appropriate role for drones in certain times.
Yeah, and I agree that the space gets conflicted, gets crowded. My point is that the technology is advancing to a point where maybe you can relieve some of that fixed wing aircraft, maybe you can relieve some of that rotor aircraft and use different technology to achieve the same thing. And that's just, again, looking forward, it's probably worth looking at.
Absolutely, sir. I think we are embracing the technology. We're looking at, bringing unmanned systems more on board the Coast Guard. We've done some work out at sea, and like I said, I think there's definitely technological advances, as the administrator said. I think we support that. I just caution as we move into that space, there's just some balance there to look at.
Well, the big issue we have is traffic management in this world on that. General, do you have any thought on that as well?
Sir, we have, in many cases after disasters, used unmanned surveillance to verify damages to long levee systems or whatever that are hard to access. In Puerto Rico, we didn't have a need. We had access to be able to get out to the sites we needed to, so we didn't need to use them, but we do have them and have used them in the past.
Yeah, sure. All right. Mr. Lopez, you're off the hook. You're off the hook, Mr. Lopez. I'll yield back.